When the HOA president tried to have my 5-year-old daughter arrested for using her wheelchair, I thought I was living in some cruel nightmare. She called it an illegal vehicle, as if my child's only way to move was a crime. She threatened fines, police, and humiliation, all because my daughter dared to exist differently. I thought the world couldn't be that heartless, until she blocked my little girl on the sidewalk and called the cops. Before I tell you what happened next, and how karma changed everything, tell me where you're watching from, because this story needs to be heard everywhere. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes justice takes the most unexpected turn. The day I met Margaret Chen, I learned that evil doesn't always wear a villain's face. Sometimes, it smiles politely and carries a clipboard. I still remember her knock that crisp autumn morning. She stood there on my porch, lips tight, eyes cold, and said, "Mrs. Anderson, we need to talk about your daughter's vehicle." My heart skipped. "Vehicle?" I asked, confused. "The electric wheelchair," she said. "It violates HOA rules." My blood froze. Emma, my 5-year-old daughter, was born with spina bifida. Her wheelchair wasn't a toy. It was her freedom, but Margaret didn't care. She handed me a violation notice and said I'd be fined $500 per day if Emma continued to operate her chair outside. That night, while Emma watched other kids play through the window, I realized something painful. Monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes, they live across the street. For the next 2 weeks, our house turned into a cage. Emma asked every morning, "Mommy, can I go to the park today?" And every day I forced a smile and said, "Soon, baby. Mommy's working on it." I'd filed every appeal possible. I'd explained to the HOA that the wheelchair was a medical necessity. But Margaret had power, and worse, she enjoyed it. Day 15 came with a new knock on the door. This time Margaret wasn't alone. A police officer stood beside her. "Officer Rodriguez," she said proudly, "this is the house. The child keeps operating an illegal vehicle." My voice trembled. "You mean her wheelchair?" Margaret crossed her arms. "Rules are rules. Your daughter is not exempt." I felt my knees weaken. "She's 5. She can't walk." But Margaret's tone was ice. "She can stay inside until she complies." When Emma rolled into the hallway, clutching her stuffed rabbit, her eyes widened at the sight of the police uniform. "Mommy, am I in trouble?" she asked softly. Officer Rodriguez crouched down beside her. "No, sweetheart. You're not in trouble." Then he turned to Margaret, his expression hardening. "Ma'am, this is a medical device. It's protected by federal law. You have no authority here." For the first time, I saw Margaret lose control of her smug composure. She sputtered, You can't talk to me like that? I'm the HOA president." Officer Rodriguez straightened up. "And I'm a police officer who's about to file a report for harassment and discrimination. Back off." But Margaret didn't back off. Instead, she doubled down. She started taking photos every time Emma went outside. She filmed us at the park. She sent letters claiming Emma's wheelchair damaged property. The fines piled up, $500 a day, until I owed $15,000. Emma began to change. My bright, laughing little girl grew quiet. She wouldn't sleep alone. She stopped smiling. One night she whispered, "Mommy, does that lady hate me because I'm broken?" My heart shattered. "No, baby," I said, hugging her tight. "You're not broken. The world is." Then came the day Margaret went too far. It was a sunny Tuesday. My car had broken down, so Emma's teacher's aide, Ms. Lopez, walked her home in her wheelchair. They were halfway down our block when Margaret appeared, clipboard in hand. "Stop right there," she shouted. "That child is operating an unauthorized vehicle. I'm making a citizen's arrest." Ms. Lopez froze. "She's a child." "What's wrong with you?" Margaret ignored her and dialed 911. "Police! There's a disturbance. Send officers immediately." Emma started crying. "I want my mommy." Ms. Lopez tried to push forward, but Margaret stepped in front of the wheelchair, physically blocking them. "You're not going anywhere," she hissed. When I arrived, panting from running the 2 blocks, I found police cars, flashing lights, and a crowd of horrified neighbors. Emma was screaming while Margaret stood guard over her like a prison warden. "Let her go!" I screamed, rushing to my daughter. Officer Rodriguez was already there, fury burning in his eyes. "Ma'am," he said to Margaret, "you are under arrest for harassment, child endangerment, and false imprisonment." The crowd erupted in applause. Margaret stammered, "You can't arrest me. I'm enforcing community rules." Officer Rodriguez snapped the cuffs on her wrists. "You're enforcing cruelty, ma'am, and now you'll face the consequences." Neighbors I'd barely spoken to came over, hugging me and apologizing. "We should have stood up to her sooner," one woman sobbed. Another man stepped forward and said, "I'm an attorney. I'll take your case for free." That night, for the first time in months, Emma slept peacefully. The next day, the video of the arrest went viral. Within days, disability rights groups reached out. Donations poured in. News channels covered our story nationwide. Margaret became the most hated HOA president in America. But the true justice came in court. Margaret was charged with harassment, discrimination, and false imprisonment. The judge looked her dead in the eye and said, "You terrorized a child. You used authority to inflict cruelty. This court finds your actions reprehensible." She was sentenced to 6 months in jail, 500 hours of community service at a disability rights center, and banned from any HOA leadership forever. For a while, I thought that was the end. But something beautiful happened next. Our neighbors rebuilt the community. A new president rewrote the rules, protecting disabled residents explicitly. Mr. Kim, our attorney, funded a wheelchair-accessible playground. And the first child to roll down that ramp was my Emma, her pink chair shining under the sun. She was smiling again, laughing again, living again. Months later, we saw Margaret in a grocery store. She looked smaller, like the power had drained from her. She walked up to me, tears trembling in her eyes. "Sarah," she whispered, "I'm so sorry. I was angry at the world, and I took it out on you and your little girl." Before I could reply, Emma rolled up beside me, calm and brave. "Are you really sorry?" she asked. Margaret nodded, sobbing. "Yes, every single day," Emma smiled gently. "Then I forgive you. But don't ever be mean to kids again." And just like that, my little girl taught me what true strength looks like. Not revenge, not anger, but forgiveness. Years passed, and Emma grew into a confident, unstoppable young woman. She started a YouTube channel called Wheels and Wisdom, teaching others about disability rights. Her first viral video was titled, "To the Woman Who Tried to Arrest Me." In it, she said, "You tried to make me ashamed, but you only made me stronger." Today, Emma speaks at schools and rallies. She's inspired thousands of children to embrace who they are. She's proof that no one, not even a cruel HOA president, can stop a spirit born to shine. Because Margaret didn't just fail to arrest Emma. She failed to arrest her joy, her courage, her light, and in the end, the wheelchair she called illegal became the very thing that carried my daughter toward freedom.